The ascent following the encounter became a secondary crisis due to the condition of the vessel. Many of its essential systems operated at reduced efficiency, most likely due to the intense electromagnetic and acoustic disturbances surrounding the massive presence. These disturbances likely interfered with internal circuitry, power distribution, and sensor alignment. The vessel initiated emergency ascent protocols. However, the hydraulic stabilizers were slow to respond, forcing the craft to rise unevenly through the water column. This imbalance created structural strain that risked compromising the integrity of the hull. Engineers who later studied the logs proposed that the lingering distortion fields generated by the entity created a temporary weakening effect on the vessel's systems. Such effects had never been observed during any other deep-water mission. As the vessel climbed, it passed through several layers of cold and warm currents. The chaotic thermal mixing caused outer hull temperatures to fluctuate rapidly. These changes increased the risk of microfracture expansion. Although none of these fractures reached catastrophic levels, they indicated that the hull had been pushed near its operational limits. Midway through the ascent, sonar detected multiple smaller shapes in the distance. These shapes were likely ordinary marine creatures responding to disturbances caused by the earlier encounter. Their movement patterns indicated agitation. Many deep-water species are highly sensitive to infrasonic signals, and the powerful pulses emitted by the massive presence may have disrupted biological rhythms across a wide radius. Some species scattered, while others gathered near the vessel, possibly seeking shelter from unfamiliar vibrations. During this stage, the surface team tracking the vessel noticed irregularities in transmitted telemetry. Data packets arrived with fluctuations in signal strength, and some packets appeared partially scrambled. Analysts suggested that residual electromagnetic fields clinging to the hull may have interfered with transmission. The phenomenon resembled static discharge, but on a scale magnified by the density of deep ocean water. Despite these issues, the vessel eventually reached a safer depth where pressures were within normal operational ranges. Yet even in these calmer waters, the sonar occasionally picked up faint echoes suggestive of movement far below. These echoes were significantly weaker than those recorded during the primary encounter, but they indicated that the immense mass had not moved far from the area. The ascent continued until the vessel reached the upper mesopelagic zone. At this depth, natural light becomes detectable, though still faint. The return of even minimal illumination provided reassurance that conditions had returned to a more predictable state. Instruments began to recalibrate. Acoustic sensors regained stability, magnetic readings normalized, and visual cameras cleared enough to capture coherent images. However, the sense of safety was temporary. A sudden surge of pressure came from below, not powerful enough to return the vessel downward, but strong enough to cause internal alarms. The origin of the surge remained unclear. It may have been a delayed effect from the earlier disruption, or a distant echo of the mass shifting within the trench. Whatever the cause, it emphasized that the region remained unstable. Upon reaching the surface, the vessel was recovered for immediate analysis. Technicians noted faint scorched patterns along several sections of the hull, patterns inconsistent with chemical corrosion or thermal vent exposure. The markings suggested contact with something that emitted heat unevenly across its surface. This detail matched earlier indications that the immense mass possessed internal thermal sources far stronger than those of known marine life. In the final log entries describing the ascent, the vessel recorded one last anomaly. Instruments detected a deep, low-frequency tremor originating from the trench. The tremor was not seismic in nature and bore no resemblance to tectonic movement. Instead, it was rhythmic, almost patterned, as though produced by an organism signaling or responding to stimuli. This discovery implied that the mass was not acting randomly. It might have been reacting to the presence of the vessel, possibly perceiving it as an intruder or simply exhibiting natural behavior previously unknown to science. In the months following the incident, the scientific community conducted extensive research in an attempt to interpret the data. The first major finding came from a comparative analysis of the thermal logs. The heat signatures detected during the encounter exceeded the output of any known marine organism by several orders of magnitude. This led researchers to speculate that the presence may have possessed an advanced internal circulation system capable of generating significant thermal energy. Some proposed that the entity might utilize geothermal heat from the ocean floor to sustain its metabolism. Another key point of investigation centered around the electromagnetic interference recorded during the event. Laboratory tests on recovered instruments revealed temporary magnetization effects within certain components. These effects suggested exposure to a fluctuating electromagnetic field generated at close range. While some species of fish and marine mammals produce electromagnetic signals for hunting or navigation, none do so at a strength capable of disturbing high-grade scientific equipment. This raised the possibility that the presence possessed specialized organs capable of generating intense electromagnetic pulses. The size of the mass remained the most debated topic. Sonar estimates were inconsistent due to signal absorption and distortion. However, even conservative interpretations indicated dimensions far exceeding any species listed in marine biology records. Some researchers proposed that the presence might not be a single organism, but a colony structure functioning as a cooperative entity. Others argued for the existence of a megafaunal species evolved to inhabit huddle zones where extreme pressures limit human exploration. There were also theories suggesting that the shape observed was not biological but a previously unidentified geological phenomenon. This interpretation was challenged by the movement patterns recorded during the event. Geological structures do not reposition themselves with fluid precision or generate acoustic pulses. Furthermore, geologists confirmed the absence of shifting formations in the region during the encounter. A small group of researchers considered the possibility of a vestigial lineage from prehistoric eras. The ocean is known to harbor living fossils that survive in isolated ecosystems. If the presence were a surviving descendant of ancient megafauna, its evolutionary adaptations over millions of years could explain its extraordinary size and anomalous biological characteristics. This hypothesis remains speculative due to the absence of physical samples. The psychological impact on the team analyzing the data was also notable. Although the vessel returned safely, the extraordinary nature of the recorded information challenged long-held assumptions about the limits of marine biology. Many reports emphasize that the deep ocean remains the least explored environment on Earth, and that discoveries of this magnitude remind humanity of its limited understanding of what resides in remote regions of the planet. Further investigations were planned, but eventually postponed due to concerns about potential risks. The recorded data suggested that the presence had exhibited awareness of the vessel. Whether this awareness indicated curiosity, territorial behavior, or something else entirely was impossible to determine. Agencies responsible for deep-sea exploration concluded that additional missions should not proceed until appropriate countermeasures were developed to protect vessels from large-scale aquatic anomalies. Despite the suspension of patrol missions, satellite scans and long-range sonar arrays periodically detected unusual readings from the trench. These readings were sporadic, but consistent in pattern, suggesting intermittent movement of a massive entity near the ocean floor. None of these signals were as strong as those recorded during the initial encounter, but they confirmed that something remained in the depths. The incident eventually entered scientific archives as one of the most provocative unexplained events in marine research. Although numerous theories attempted to interpret it, none could fully reconcile the array of anomalies documented. The presence detected under the vessel represented a biological frontier beyond current knowledge. The final assessment acknowledged the possibility that the encounter revealed only a fraction of what exists in the abyss. The ocean contains regions still hidden, where unknown life may grow beyond the constraints of surface ecosystems. The shadow that rose beneath the vessel did more than demonstrate immense scale. It served as a reminder that humanity has only begun to understand the mysteries that lie beneath the deepest waters of the Earth. The world beneath the surface of the Pacific Ocean has long been a subject of speculation among oceanographers and experts in deep-sea research. The waters conceal geological forces, biological anomalies, and unexplored territories that stretch across thousands of kilometers. Modern technology has pushed human presence farther into the hodl zones, yet each new discovery reveals that human understanding remains significantly incomplete. One of the most unsettling incidents in recent oceanic exploration involved a deep-sea patrol mission that encountered a presence so immense that it challenged every known scale used to measure marine life. The patrol mission was tasked with collecting data related to seismic activity near an undersea ridge. The region was known for unpredictable thermal vents and shifting tectonic plates that could disrupt communication signals. Despite the environmental instability, the area attracted scientific interest due to unexplained mass readings periodically detected by satellite systems. These readings were inconsistent with any known geological formations and therefore required direct investigation from submersible vessels specially designed for deep water durability. The vessel used for the mission was equipped with reinforced hull plating, sonar imaging arrays, and magnetic field detectors calibrated to detect metallic anomalies on the ocean floor. Observational logs from earlier patrols described occasional signal interference, but nothing that warranted alarm. However, on this particular patrol, conditions changed abruptly. The sonar system identified a form larger and more diffuse than any recorded biological mass. Its structure was irregular, its density inconsistent with rock formations, and its movement disturbingly smooth for an object of such scale. Initial analyses suggested a drifting sediment cloud, but the readings indicated coherence rather than dispersion. The mass appeared to align with the vessel's course, following a parallel trajectory at a depth slightly below the patrol craft. This synchronized movement persisted across several kilometers of travel, raising concern that the mass was not passive but responsive. The deeper the vessel traveled, the stronger the gravitational anomalies became. Instruments measuring local pressure gradients began to register fluctuations resembling the wake effect produced by large marine animals, but on a scale greater than any previously documented. The Megalodon, an extinct apex predator believed to have reached roughly 18 meters in length, had long been used as a reference for massive biological dimensions. Yet the mass detected by the sonar readings eclipsed even that estimate. The data suggested a form at least several times larger. The ocean around the vessel transitioned into a state of near total obscurity as suspended sediment thickened. Natural bioluminescent organisms typically present even at low densities seemed to withdraw, leaving the surroundings devoid of light except for the vessel's illumination beams. Even these beams revealed little beyond drifting particulate matter that swirled in irregular patterns, possibly influenced by water displacement from the unseen mass. The crew responsible for monitoring imaging technology noted increasing distortion in the visual feeds. Cameras positioned along the hull displayed intermittent static, as though an electromagnetic field disrupted their circuits. This interference appeared correlated with the proximity of the massive form. Every movement of the vessel produced a delayed echo on sonar, not from the terrain, but from the immense shape maintaining an unnerving distance that never widened or closed. As the hours progressed, internal instruments detected subtle vibrations not caused by mechanical function. These vibrations created resonance patterns normally associated with large predators that use low-frequency pulses for navigation or hunting. The scale of the resonance concluded that the source had an internal structure capable of generating immense acoustic pressure. No known marine species possessed such capabilities at this magnitude. By the time the patrol vessel attempted to ascend to safer depths, the mass shifted position with alarming speed. Instead of following parallel, it moved directly beneath the vessel, obscuring the seafloor entirely. The detection system struggled to distinguish where the mass ended and the natural terrain began. The abyss below had transformed into a single unified shadow. This moment marked the beginning of one of the most unsettling deep-sea encounters ever documented. The second phase of the incident drew attention from scientific agencies because of the unprecedented metric data recorded during the event. As the vessel attempted to retreat from the region, the pressure detectors began registering fluctuations inconsistent with normal hydrodynamic behavior. These fluctuations suggested that the massive shadow beneath the vessel was capable of altering its surrounding environment, with movements too subtle for direct detection, yet powerful enough to reshape local water density. Analysts later examining the pressure logs found evidence that the mass displaced water in patterns comparable to those produced by continental shelf shifts. However, there were no seismic readings supporting any geological event at the time. The only plausible explanation was the presence of a biological or semi-biological entity of extreme proportions. If so, its size exceeded even speculative models of prehistoric marine megafauna. The sonar arrays soon attempted to create a volumetric reconstruction of the shadow. The resulting image appeared as a dark, amorphous silhouette with no definable anatomy. Edges dissolved into surrounding water rather than forming the outlines associated with fins, tails, or skeletal ridges. The shape behaved more like a fluid structure. These characteristics defied classification. The phenomenon lacked the reflective integrity required for sonar to create a stable depiction. This led analysts to propose that the mass might possess tissue that absorbed sound rather than reflecting it. For several minutes, the reconstructed silhouette grew larger. The growth did not appear organic, but seemed instead to originate from shifts in relative distance as the entity repositioned itself. The vessel's logs revealed the mass ascended in short increments. Each increment increased pressure on the hull, though not enough to cause structural failure. The mass was close enough for the magnetic detectors to respond, indicating the possible presence of mineralized components within the structure. This discovery suggested a hybrid composition, neither fully organic nor fully geological. At the height of the encounter, local currents accelerated dramatically despite the absence of external storms or tidal disturbances. Water movement reached velocities comparable to those near whirlpool formations, yet none was present. The currents encircled the vessel in a spiraling motion, pulling sediment upward in dense streams that coated sensors and obscured visibility. The phenomenon was likely generated by the entity repositioning its immense bulk with minimal effort. During this period, the vessel recorded rapid alternations in surrounding temperature layers. Warm pockets interspersed with sudden bursts of cold water produced confusion in thermal equipment. This inconsistent layering indicated the presence of internal heat sources within the entity. These heat sources were immense enough to warp natural thermal gradients across several hundred meters. No marine organism known to science produces such distributed thermal effects. The duration of direct proximity between the vessel and the mass was estimated at 15 minutes. During this time, every instrument continued registering anomalies. Acoustic sensors detected frequencies similar to infrasonic pulses capable of traveling thousands of kilometers. These pulses can influence the behavior of large marine organisms and potentially cause disorientation in human structures. The origin of the pulses was undoubtedly the massive presence surrounding the vessel. Visual imaging captured only a faint perimeter of darkness that shifted with the movement of the surrounding water. Not a single frame revealed a definitive surface texture. This led some experts to suggest that the entity may have possessed adaptive camouflage capable of bending light in ways unseen in the natural world. Others proposed that the mass was a previously unknown category of megafaunal suspension feeder, drifting passively through deep water layers. However, none of these hypotheses aligned completely with the recorded data. When the mass finally released its hold on the surrounding current patterns, the water settled abruptly. The vessel regained partial control of its ascent systems and attempted to distance itself. Yet even as it rose, the shadow remained visible on sonar for several minutes more, shrinking slowly until it slipped beyond the range of detection. It drifted downward, vanishing into the deepest recesses of the trench. For the remainder of the patrol, none of the detection instruments returned to normal calibration. Residual electromagnetic distortion continued long after the entity had disappeared. This lingering interference suggested that the encounter was not simply a momentary event, but an interaction with something powerful enough to imprint itself on the technology that observed it. We upload new videos every single day, so make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss what's next. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, it really helps the channel grow. Tell us in the comments what you'd like to see next. Your ideas might be in our next upload. Thank you so much for watching and for being part of our community. Stay tuned, stay curious, and we'll see you in the next video.